The European Union's single market is built on a principle of freedom of movement, not just for people or goods, but for financial products like UCITS. In theory, any UCITS fund should be able to market across Europe seamlessly. But in practice, there were hurdles. Physical local facilities for retail investors were one of them. When you offer a UCITS in an host member state in Europe, that is not the member state where the fund is established. UCITS Directive requires you to offer facilities to retail investors. Under the original version of Article 92 UCITS Directive, the local facility for retail investors had to be physical premises, a place for investors to walk into, submit payment requests, and maybe ask for hard copies of fund documents. Some European member states were stricter than others, mandating that banks or other licensed entities acted as the local facility. Others were more relaxed. Either way, the administrative costs and burden piled up, especially for smaller funds trying to scale across multiple countries in Europe. Hiring a third party to offer physical premises for the facilities in a member state has a cost, and the more member states of distribution, the higher the costs. That is what the Cross-Border Distribution Directive came to address via an amendment of Article 92 UCITS Directive. The revised Article 92 UCITS Directive radically transformed the requirement for facilities. Member states can no longer impose that UCITS appoint a third-party local credit institution or operate a physical office for the facilities. The door is now open for digitalisation in fund distribution. So what do these digital facilities for UCITS look like? By removing the requirement for physical premises, facilities now can be offered in an electronic format. A fund website, for example, available in the official language of each host member state where a UCITS is distributed. From this website, investors can download fund documents, read up on their rights and how to complain about the UCITS they are invested in, and email someone for assistance if they need to. The key for digital facilities is that they remain accessible in the local language of the specific member state where the UCITS is marketed. So if investors are from Germany, they should be able to access a page in German. The revised Article 92 UCITS Directive acknowledges that fund distribution is already digitalized and that digitalization is the engine for growth of European distribution. Moreover, the different functions within the facilities, such as handling information requests, processing redemption, or managing communications with regulators, can now also be split across different service providers. And some of these functions can also be retained by the UCITS itself or its management company. This added flexibility is a win for fund managers. And the reform of Article 92 UCITS Directive supports exactly those fund managers who want to grow their market presence across multiple domiciles in Europe. By reducing the cost of providing to retail investors facilities with physical premises, which they hardly use nowadays anyhow, and that inevitably translates in yet another costs for entering a new market. Now, going digital doesn't mean informal. Transitioning from brick and mortar to digital local facilities isn't something you would do on a Friday afternoon if you like. And it doesn't happen overnight either. Considering that a UCITS is a highly regulated investment product, there are governance and regulatory boxes to tick when changing a service provider. First, the board of the management company of the UCITS need to approve the appointment of a new facilities agent. Distribution remains a core function of management companies, even if it's often delegated to external third parties. And if you want to know more about the distribution function and how it is delegated by fund management companies to third parties, there is a video where we talk specifically about that. The board of a management company of a UCITS remains in charge of the strategic decisions pertaining to the distribution of its funds. Then it comes the legal side. You'll need to amend service agreements, update your fund documentation, possibly also notify investors in the fund. And there is more. Any change to local facilities qualifies as a change in marketing arrangements from a regulatory standpoint. And under the Cross-Border Distribution Directive, this kind of change must be notified to the national competent authorities of each host country where a UCITS is distributed, at least 1 month in advance of the implementation of that change. In some European countries, existing local tax requirements and distribution dynamics make the switch to a digital facilities agent not a workable option. So in these countries, you will have to stick to a local institution for the facilities. So while the directive allows for digitalization, the practical reality might still require some adjustments. And this makes the involvement of the board of management companies to assess implications even more important. The revised Article 92 UCITS Directive breaks down the actual functions carried out by the local facilities. Two tasks require special consideration: processing investor payments and liaising with local regulators. Processing payments for investors in the fund is a regulated activity, and if a management company or a UCITS decides to provide its own local facilities, as it is now possible, it needs to be licensed for this activity, unless there is a plan to outsource only that activity within the broader functions of the facilities. Licensing aside, there are other related concerns. Most management companies do not want to be seen as dealing with retail investors, and even less potentially handling client money. This is why many management companies decide to outsource most, if not all of the function within the local facilities to external third parties. Another reason for outsourcing the function of the facilities has to do with the fact that facilities agents are also point of contact with authorities in the various host member states. And not all management companies have dedicated resources for that. So, assuming you want to outsource this function, which type of provider is best suited? Law firms might understand the regulatory landscape, but they often lack the digital tools. They are also traditionally more expensive. Data firms may have tech infrastructure required, but typically fall short when it comes to interacting with regulators. The ideal partner, someone who bridges both worlds, understands the legal framework, and delivers state-of-the-art digital services and facilities. This reform isn't just about going digital. It's about demolishing unnecessary barriers and cutting high cost of distribution. It will allow for funds to also deliver better value to their investors, because value for money is another big item on the agenda of European policymakers. And if you made it up to this part of the video, I wanted to thank you, and I wanted to invite you to hit like to the video and subscribe to the channel. There is much more to come on European distribution. As always, thank you for watching and stay tuned.